was put in the hospital with hepatitis of the liver. It's a totally different hepatitis to hepatitis A, B and C, and that's hepatitis of the liver. It's not contagious, it's just of the alcohol that was eating away at my liver. I was on the road to liver failure. The consultant, I was 29, and the consultant was keeping phoning me GP and saying, look, how's his liver in such a bad state at such a young age? And they were scratching their heads, they really were. They says, look, you cannot drink alcohol again. If you do, you'll die. So it was going, I did get a shock, I've got to admit I did get a shock, and the pains were terrible. But I kept off the drink for 3 or 4 weeks, I think. Went on it, went back on the drink, and I just beat myself up that much. I beat somebody else up on that night, and I didn't even know I'd done it. The next day I got told I nutted somebody in the jaw and broke his jaw in 3 places. My life was just a total mess. My mum was praying that I'd be punished for what I'd done, rightly so, but she prayed that I wouldn't get sent to prison, and I didn't. That was God. That's what God had his hand upon us all throughout this. He was just waiting for me to say, God, help us. But I didn't. I still didn't ask God. And I would keep off the drink for 6 months, then go back on it. Keep off it for 3 months, go back on it. And I could only last 4 or 5 days, and I was back in the hospital. By this point, my liver was in a really bad state, really bad. So I got pancreatitis in 2010, or the end of 2009, beginning of 2010, and I thought I was dying. The pains were unbelievable. I was crawling on the floor. I says, I'm going to have a drink of water and something to eat. Well, of course, that aggravated it and made it even worse. I went to the doctors, and there was a doctor there. There was about 5 doctors in my surgery, and the one I always saw, Dr. Samosa, he had loads of people before me, and I just needed painkillers, so I went and saw another doctor, and he was a lot less sympathetic. He says, it's your own fault. It's self-inflicted, and I'm not giving you painkillers. It could do your liver worse. So I came home, and I knew then I had to go to hospital. I went to hospital. He says, you've got pancreatitis. I was having morphine, and it wouldn't shift it. It would make it comfortable, but just wouldn't shift the pain I was in. I would be in hospital for 4 or 5 days, get out. I'd kept off the drink, and I was back in again. In 2010, I was in hospital 9 times, all through alcohol, and obviously drugs contributing to that, but mainly alcohol. And I had enough, I really did. At one time, about 2008, I tried to take my own life. I just had enough. I've got 3 beautiful, 2 nieces and a beautiful nephew. I had always a beautiful mum and a lovely sister, good brother-in-law, and some lovely friends, but I just couldn't take any more. I'd had enough. I could not, my head was just, so I tried to take my own life, but it failed, and I'm over the moon it did fail now. God's had his hand upon us then. He's had his hand upon us since the day I was born, and he'll have his hand upon us till the day I die. But I didn't realise this. I used to always say, I used to swear and everything, but I used to hate it when people, my friends or anybody used to take the Lord's name in vain. I used to hate that for some reason. I could put up with swear words, but I just didn't like people using the Lord's name in vain. For some reason, I don't know why, but I didn't. Then, in November 2010, that was the last time I was in hospital. I was in hospital, my mum would be there all the time with us. She would be crying. She heard the doctor say, another drink will kill you. She heard the doctor say, if you don't pack in, we're not going to be able to do anything for you the next time. We can't, nothing is going to fix you. You've got to pack in the drink. I would go to all these alcohol places, meetings and different organisations, but one of my favourite sayings is you can take a horse to water, but you can't make it drink it. I just couldn't stop. And in the November 2010, it good friend of mine and his wife, Vic and Andrea Stewart, came to hospital when I just getting admitted. You know, I was still in casualty, and they came and they prayed with us, and it was a little bit embarrassing if I'm being truthful, because the doctor kept on coming and the nurses, and I thought, they think I'm funny, I'm crazy, these people praying for us, but they had all good intentions. And Vic says to us, why don't you come to church? And I thought, no, I didn't want to go, but I thought, you know, Vic and Andrea have come out the way to see me a drunk, a low life. To a certain extent, I felt ugly, I felt horrible, and I thought, no, they've come to see me, I'll go to church. I only have to go once and I've kept my word. So I got out of hospital about 4 days later and went to the church on the Sunday. I was very apprehensive going into the church. I felt butterflies. I felt, oh no, I'm going to see people who I've never seen for years, and I was nervous. It was nerve-wracking, but I'd done loads of things in my life that were just as equal. I would get up in front of 100 people and sing my head off on karaoke, and I can't sing to save my life. But that didn't bother us, because I was clear that the drink is false. It makes people, it turns people nasty, it turns people into singing when they wouldn't sing, dancing when they wouldn't dance. It's just false happiness.